Welcome back to the Pickin Winners podcast, a TacoCorp Sports production. I'm your host, Tony. That is Nate. We're talking Week 2 NFL moneyline picks on this one. But before we dive into that, how we doing, Nate?
Doing good, man. We lost our ass last week on this, which is, I think, what is expected, right? But I think it's a good learning lesson, and we'll see if we can right the ship and get over 500.
We're just doing our part to make sure the books are all up and running, they're healthy, and like sports gambling just continues to spread across America.
They need to make money so we can bet.
Exactly. So I want to get into the picks. I want to do that real quick, but I think you did something this weekend that is worth mentioning here. Real quick, can you speak to your call to bet on Cowboys backup running backs in the Sunday night game after it was like a quarter or two?
It was in the third. So it was in the third, and it's a torrential downpour. And I started noticing a couple other guys like Turpin getting some run. I just saw him on the field, really, right? And it's like, oh, he caught a pass. And then I started thinking, like, okay, guys are more likely to get hurt in these type of games. They're going to pull some people. So let me see what the anytime touchdown for the backup running backs for the Dallas Cowboys is, right? And
They're good.
A lot of it was thinking, okay, the defense is still going to play for a little bit longer. Maybe they get a short field. They run the ball a couple times. This game's over. Nobody's really trying. We'll see if we could punch one in. Turpin was like plus 2,400 or something, I think. And
Yes, he
then
was.
the other two guys were, what's that dude's name? He's got a weird name. Dowdle.
Rico Dowdle.
Rico
Yeah, Deuce
Dowdle,
Vaughn.
and then Deuce Vaughn, right? So Turpin had the longest odds, so I was like, okay, let me throw some cash on that. Now let me see what the other two are, and they had shorter odds, but I was like, okay, let's cover this initial bet with the next one, and then cover the next one, cover both of them with the next one after that, right? So
Yep.
if one of them got in the end zone, we were going to profit. So I shot that into the group text, and then I had won a little bit of cash in the college football stuff, a little bit in the NFL stuff. So I threw a little bit of extra cash that I normally wouldn't do. It's kind of just like, whatever. Got a hunch. I saw this dude on the field, right? He looked like he had a little wiggle, and he was bigger than the other backs too. So I decided to throw $50 on the Dowdle one or whatever like that, and it turned out to be a $1,250 win.
Turpin.
Turpin on Turpin one,
Yeah.
right? And ended up being a $1,250 win. So just looking at kind of what the game script was
Yeah.
and what was going to end up happening, let's throw a little shekel or two at these guys and hope we can punch one in. And if one of them scored, we were going to win. It just happened to be the longest leg. So
Yeah, he was the most explosive, but yeah, just kind of good rule of thumb, I guess, going forward in these types of one-sided games. So look at the odds, live bet. It might be worth it. But yeah, great call. We made up for what was an otherwise rough week one betting wise. For week one picks, I went 9-7 while you went 8-8. Not great. No one did great, even the professionals. We talked about betting enough for each pick to get to 1 unit if we win the bet. So in total, I risked 34 units last week, but ended up down about 5 units, while you risked 31 and ended up down about 5.5. We're in the hole on those picks, but we're in the hole together, probably with everyone else as well. But let's go ahead and build off what we learned from week one here with our week two picks. And as a reminder to the listeners or viewers, we're pulling these from DraftKings prior to recording this. So the lines may have changed a little bit, but it is going to be our baseline. Let's go ahead and start with the Thursday night game, Minnesota at Philly. Philly's favored by 7, over-unders at 49. There were a couple players declared out recently. What do you got?
So the thing that's concerning is that Philly has linebacker and safeties that are out, right? And I think Bradbury's out as well on the corner.
Yep.
So there's going to be some points in this game, I believe, for a Thursday night, which is kind of awkward and weird. But Philly didn't play anybody in the preseason. It was kind of their preseason game for those guys against New England. I think they're better than what they showed, but the middle of the field is wide open. So you're going to see a lot of TJ Hawkinson run. You'll see some Diggs, deep ball, or not Diggs. JJ, Justin Jefferson.
Oh, you're talking about the Vikings.
Yeah,
sorry.
the Vikings. Justin Jefferson, deep balls and stuff like that to attack some of that corner. They're starting a second-year corner out of Alabama. Philly is, but I'll still take Philly to win the game. I think that they're going to run the ball like crazy. It's a weird thing, right? You have a Thursday night. You have a Thursday night game coming up, so they don't really play DeAndre Swift, right? And they sat Rashad Penny.
They did.
But I feel like that was a, hey, we need to get some reps in type of thing, and then we'll put our guys in for the Thursday night game because we need to get a win that game. We think we could beat the Patriots. think that's what we kind of saw there, but I'll still take Philly to win the game.
Yeah, the Patriots did a good job last week limiting what Hurts and the Philly offense did. I think Dallas Goedert had one target, no catches. I think that's just kind of what the Patriots do to that position. Vikings defense will not have the same success, not even remotely close. I've got the Eagles. I know the defense isn't going to be the same, but I'd also take the spread as is. Moving on, Baltimore at Cincinnati. Cincinnati is favored by 3.5, over unders at 47.5. What you got?
I'm going to take Cincinnati in this game. I have no belief in
Yes.
Baltimore whatsoever. Baltimore is also down Marlon Humphrey. You got Jason Marcus Peters, the old
Yep.
corner. He's in Las Vegas, right? And then they're down a safety as well. So I think that Cincinnati's just going to air the ball out. I think this is going to be a complete blowout. I don't like taking hooks, but I think they do beat them by more than 3.5 at home
Yeah.
after getting embarrassed by the Browns. So give me Cincinnati to win this game.
Yeah. Seems super risky. I'm also on the Bengals given the week one performance, but Joe Burrow didn't play through most of camp, didn't play any preseason, obviously with the calf. So kind of felt like a preseason game, a tune up for them. The Browns also play the Bengals tough. It's an in division game. Burrow, like I said, coming off that calf strain. And that was legitimately a preseason game for the Bengals. None of those guys were playing in the actual preseason. Chase, Higgins, Boyd, um, taking the Bengals. I'm ready to get hurt again because it might take. We're gonna get to the Chiefs, but like we could be in a world where Cincinnati and Kansas City are both 0-2 to start the year.
Yeah.
Um, not a world I want to live in, especially taking the Bengals here. But next game, Chargers at the Titans. Chargers road favorites. They get 3, over unders at 46.5. What do you got?
I'm going to take the Chargers in this game. They got, I guess you could say, embarrassed by Miami. When you put up 30 plus points, you should win a ball
Yep.
game, right? And they just couldn't stop anything. Tennessee has nobody to throw the ball to. DeAndre Hopkins can't separate anymore. He's kind of just a jump ball or a bodied up type of wide receiver, especially in this offense with Ryan Tannehill. Tennessee will get some calls. They always do for some reason, to where they'll be able to keep it a little bit closer to start out. But I think that over time, the Chargers just end up airing it out against this team. They're going to take it deep. They're going to try to put up more points, say this is who we are, and then hopefully we can get a couple of those Josh Kelly touchdowns because I just picked him up in every
what
league.
what'd you spend on him in
All of my
in those
fab.
leagues?
Screw it. I like my team the
I
way it
love it.
is. I like my
I love
teams the
it.
way they are. For the long haul, I think I'm built for success in those. So I was just like, whatever. I don't. I have enough handcuffing throughout it from the wide
Yeah.
receiver and the running back position, to where if I get this guy and I have Kamara in a lot of rosters, then I'm solid with 4 starting running backs. So
As a UCLA Bruins fan, that makes me
you're
happy.
welcome.
Thank you. Didn't want to pick this game. Ryan Tannehill had 3 interceptions last week against the Saints, and the Titans still lost by just 1 point. That's about where the good ends, I think, for them. For the Chargers, I thought they played a good game on offense, but just ran into a better offense in week one that had a couple key plays on defense. But that version of the Chargers offense runs away with this game if Herbert and those guys are on this weekend. So I'm also on board with the Chargers this week.
Yep.
Next game, Indy at Houston. Indy is now the favorites at 1. They get 1.5. Over under has gone down a little bit, 39.5. What you got?
I'm going to take Indianapolis here, and I think a lot of it is just because they are missing. They're going to end up missing their safety, Petrie. The dude was coughing up blood last week after
I
taking a
saw
knee
that.
to the chest from Lamar Jackson. He went to tackle him, took a knee, had bruised lungs. I don't know if that's something that you really want to play football the next week.
Probably not.
Anthony Richardson, like they say he's probably going to play or whatever like that. He's got like a back problem because he's running and not sliding. Like you got to learn that, and I don't know if it's in his DNA to do it because he was doing it at the end, and it's like, yo, you're 5 yards out from the end zone. Why are you taking on linebackers? But that's just
Yeah.
what he does. I just think they have more talent all across the board on the wide receivers and all that kind of stuff. And CJ Stroud's still young. He's going to make a mistake here or there. So is Anthony Richardson, but I think that the coaching staff, they're two brand new coaches, good mindsets and stuff like that. I think Indianapolis just is just above the curve with a young offensive coordinator and Bobby Slowick with Houston.
Yeah, I initially had picked the Texans. We put a lot of these down prior to the Sunday week one games, but after watching the Texans do nothing against the Ravens and watching Shane Steichen put a lot on Anthony Richardson in his first pro game, I'm switching this to Indy. I think the Colts defense also looked great against Trevor Lawrence and the Jags. I think they got a defensive score, turnover or two. So I'm also on board with Colts. Give me Indy in this one.
Mm-hmm.
Next game, Green Bay and Atlanta. Green Bay's favored, road favorites. They get one there. Over unders at 40.5. What are you doing?
Yep, low total. I'm going to take the team that can play better defense and runs the ball really well in Atlanta. It's not sexy. It's not something you're really going to want to watch. Green Bay
Mm-mm.
played the Chicago Bears at home when all the hype is on Justin Fields and what he's going to do this year. Him coming out, so he's going to pass for be the first 4,000-yard passer in Bears history. He can't pass the ball all that well. I mean, he's not bad, right? But it's not elite. And Jordan Love kind of just had everything go for him. I think that the hype train of that one game to show, hey, we're here. Everybody's talking about Aaron Rodgers in New York. I think that comes to a screeching halt, and Atlanta punches him in the face and gets a victory.
Yeah, after the game, Jordan Love actually told reporters that he owns the Bears.
Yeah.
So uh, Green Bay gets the bump there for me. I thought the Packers looked pretty solid against the Bears. And without Christian Watson too. And I think Aaron Jones left the game. I think he like tweaked his hamstring,
Yeah.
but he could have come back in, I think is what I saw. So he should play this week. I believe he sat out for practice, so it's kind of something I'd want to monitor. I do like Green Bay a lot more if I knew he was playing, but I'd still take the Packers in this game to get off to a 2-0 start. I know Atlanta runs the ball really well. That kind of makes me nervous, but the Packers defense, they did what they were supposed to do against the Bears, and I think they'll do what they're supposed to do against the Falcons here. The defense looked very, very good. So going with Green Bay. Next game, Chicago, the aforementioned Bears, they're going to Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay home favorites, they get 3 points. This over-under is at 44. It's gone up. It was at 40.5. What do you got?
I'm going to take Chicago in this game on the road. You get the snot beat out of you by your division rival. And then Tampa Bay goes in and beats like the best team in your division in the Minnesota Vikings, who won the division last year, went to the playoffs. They have Justin Jefferson. They have TJ Hawkinson. They have Madison. Kirk Cousins just seems to throw for 4,000 yards every single year. They win games, but they kind of had the luck bug on them, right? There's 3 turnovers in the first quarter that kind of put them ahead and then got Minnesota stuck into a game they really didn't want to be in. I don't think you're going to get that out of the Chicago Bears. Chicago Bears are probably going to, I could see them taking care of the ball a lot more than they did last week. I think Fields had 1 interception, but this might be the game where Justin Fields ends up running for over 100 yards and just saying, hey, we're not going to take any of the chances on deep balls or any of that kind of stuff, right? We're just going to little dink dunk, and let these guys work with it. And you can definitely do that against this Tampa Bay defense because they're getting older, they're getting slower. They still are great players or whatever like that, but when you have young weapons all around, I think you can do some damage with that. Especially coming off a high of going to Minnesota and winning a game going home. I think it's just a reality check for both teams.
That's bold. That's a bold pick. And I had that backwards. The line was at 44. It's gone down after week 1, so it's now at 40.5. Yeah. Ask the Vikings if the Bucs team is being taken serious enough. I think that's kind of the question here. I think they're better than we have them on paper. They had, I think it was 2 fumbles from Kirk Cousins that definitely helped propel them to that victory. So there was some turnover luck, but the Bears did not look good. I think the Tampa Bay here, the Bucs are good enough to challenge for that division. I know we kind of wrote, everyone off except the Saints for the most part, but I think the Bucs have the talent to do it. The Bears did get steamrolled in week 1 by the Packers, and this Bucs team is probably close to Green Bay in talent, and this is in Tampa Bay. That's kind of what pushed me over to the Tampa Bay side. Give me the Bucs. I don't know. That's going to be a game that I wouldn't be surprised if the Bears won. So.
Yep.
Good on you for going that way. Next game, Seattle at Detroit. The Lions are favored by 5.5. This over-under is pretty high. It's at 51. What do you got?
Yeah, this is a game that I would want nothing to do with because Seattle's. I think this line should be more around the 4 than 5.5. There's a reason why it's not getting up to 6 onto a key number because there's Seattle money that's keeping it from going there. But for some reason, Sean McVay just has Pete Carroll's number the same way that Shanahan has McVay's number, to where it doesn't matter what happens. It just happens to be a fucking blowout every single time you play. And that happens with the Rams, right? And I don't think the Rams are any good. I think Seattle's a lot better than what they showed. I do have kind of talked about how I think Geno Smith is more of Derek Anderson than what we saw of Geno Smith last year. Um, so it wouldn't surprise me if Seattle won this, but I'm going to take Detroit at home just to squeak by. I think it's going to be in that 3 range or something like that.
Yeah, I rewatched some of the all 22 on that game. Aaron Donald completely wrecked the Seahawks line, and
Yeah.
I think I saw a replay or I saw it on Twitter. Geno Smith was like, "Oh God," on
Yeah.
one of the plays. Like Aaron Donald was everywhere. Like he anchored that defense. So I don't think Detroit has someone like that in the middle. I know you have Aiden Hutchinson, but Aaron Donald in the middle, getting double teamed, still getting pressure. That means a lot more than Aiden Hutchinson coming around the outsides. I'm not drinking the Lions Kool-Aid just yet. I'll admit it does look tasty after beating the Chiefs in week 1.
Mm-hmm.
Spoiled all my bets. Looks very refreshing. Looks like it has electrolytes. But I feel like these teams are pretty even. I'm taking Detroit with the home field edge and the momentum beating the champs last week. So going with the Lions 2-0. If they win this game, they're starting out 2-0. That is crazy.
Thing to look at
what
too,
they've been the last 3 years.
Yeah, thing to look at too is both of Seattle's tackles are questionable right now too, and dealing with injuries. So
Yeah.
if one of those dudes is out, like, or they're questionable all the way up to game time, they know if they're going to play or not, right? But
Yeah.
if they're a questionable thing, Sunday morning or something like that, there's probably a problem. So I'll stick with Detroit for that.
Yeah, I'm with you though. I think this will be closer than what the Lions currently at. But taking Detroit by a slim margin, and there's a few games that I have a slim margin on my pick. So this might be another shit show. We'll see. Next game, Las Vegas at Buffalo. Buffalo's favored by 9. Over unders at 46.5. What you got?
Yeah, they're gonna beat the shit out of the Raiders. The Raiders coming off of going into Mile High, then they got to go all the way to Buffalo after Buffalo gets embarrassed by the Jets once again. Zach Wilson taking over the game, throwing a game-winning touchdown. I'm calling it a game-winning touchdown because it got them to,
that's fine.
Be there.
I'll allow it.
Yeah, he was going to throw another one in overtime anyways. He might have ran it in. Who knows, right? But Buffalo. Josh Allen's got to eliminate the mistakes. Las Vegas is going to try to slow the game down, so I don't think it's going to be super sexy. But I think that this is just get home, get one right, and then move on from what happened with the Jets Monday night.
Yeah, Buffalo fans are very quiet about Josh Allen right now.
Mm-hmm.
2 years ago, they would have been all over social media.
Wonder what changed.
Not seeing a lot of them chirping right now. I don't know what changed. Yeah, I don't know. I have Buffalo, so not going to spend too much time on this pick. I agree with you. I think they will completely destroy the Raiders. Yeah. Next game, Kansas City at Jacksonville. I think we're on opposing ends here. Kansas City's favored, road favorites. They get 3 points. Over unders at 51, was at 50, so gone up by a point. What are you doing?
I am putting everything on the Chiefs. I think so. Jacksonville can't cover, and I'm expecting Travis Kelce to play in this game. I don't know if Chris Jones will play, but he's back. But I don't think that's such a detriment to this team as much as Travis Kelce is. The Chiefs had all the drops last week. It's like they had the little yips or something like that. We don't like to say that word in sports, right? The yips, but
I hate that word.
As it went, it just went exponential, and it was a bad look. This is a classic Chiefs scoring 35, 38 points in a game saying, yeah, you guys thought, and everybody's high on the Jacksonville Jaguars and Calvin Ridley, and did you see Zay Jones catching the ball with fingertips laid out in the end zone?
You like that catch.
Oh, I love it, right?
Yeah.
But there's the Chiefs talking. It's like, let's remember we win Super Bowls here, right? You're the Jacksonville Jaguars. We're going to go into your town. Duval is going to be all loud, and it's going to get really quiet really quick. So I got the Chiefs.
Yeah, at the time of this recording, I also do not know if Travis Kelce is playing. Haven't seen much on that. I'm on the same page with you with Chris Jones. If he does play, probably not going to play his normal snap count. Not sure how much of an impact he would be. Defense looked okay against Detroit. I think, what did you say? They held him to 14 points or something like that? Under 20. I also don't know what the Chiefs wide receiver utilization is going to be. You mentioned a lot of drops. So do they give Richie James more looks, MVS more looks versus Tony and Sky Moore? Rice got the touchdown, kind of saved his week. Detroit also last week walked into Goff head. Does that work?
No, God, stop. I love Jared Goff. I'm the biggest Jared Goff fan this side of the Mississippi, like the left side. But No.
I think I saw him say that under his
Yeah.
breath. I think I saw that on
Yeah.
film,
I'm pretty
watching
sure
all
it's all
22.
over Detroit Twitter. Like, Jesus Christ.
But Detroit walked in. They took that game from the Chiefs. No one saw it. No one predicted it. I have the Jaguars with the better offense, better coaching overall so far. And this is in Jacksonville. Again, this is a slim one. I could see it going either way. Probably dumb picking against Mahomes and picking the Chiefs to start 0-2, as I
Yeah.
mentioned earlier. But I like fun. Give me the Jaguars. This is going to be a fun one to follow.
Yep.
All right, next game. Our teams, they're squaring off. They're both 1-0. 49ers at the Rams. San Fran heavy favorites. They get 8 points on the road. Um, Levi South, is that what you're calling it?
It's
Over
Levi's
under.
Levi's .1. Like,
Over under 45. What do you got?
yeah, so the Rams go play the Niners on the road, and this actually came down to 7.5 now, which I don't get or see. Um, you played a Seattle team who can't get pressure, and then you're going to go up against a team that can get pressure. You're
Yeah.
not, and the thing is that there's a lot of teams out there who can get pressures, but they struggle to stop the run. The Niners legitimately stuff the run, and the Rams aren't going to be able to run the ball on them. The Niners are going to be able to do whatever they want to do on offense because they're not the Seattle Seahawks, obviously, right? So the Niners are going to beat the ever loving crap out of this team. It does kind of scare me, like the spread, right? Like this is one where it's in my favorite bet of the week later on, but it's kind of it feels like a really good teaser week, and this is the one that I think I'm going to get screwed on. But give me the Niners. I think they can win by double digits.
Feels like they can.
Yeah.
We're gonna get honey dick though. I have the same feeling.
Let one
Rand.
one of those big ends come across. Like Bosa's actually like practiced for a week, and get in the
Mhm.
face of Matt Stafford one time, or Hargrave right up the middle too. And we'll see
Not,
how it all kind of turns out. And I think that's going to be the tell of the game. See how
it's
one of
not even
those, two
fair.
of those hits go, because it's going to come on the first drive, second drive,
Yeah.
and you'll be able to maybe get a line in game. So,
Yeah, definitely keep an eye on that. Not even fair how good that defense
mhm.
is, but the Rams, they managed to win in week one. We talked to that a little bit. Puka Nakua was electric, 15 targets, 10 catches, I believe. He's a stud, kind of a hidden gem in the draft, does exactly what Cooper Kupp does. So it's just kind of plug and play for Puka Nakua and Sean McVay. And then Sean McVay is using him in every way the rookie can be used at this point and then some. So you like that. He went for a lot in all of my leagues, fab wise. So a lot of people are drinking the Kool-Aid there.
Mhm.
But San Francisco dominated the Steelers. The game was over basically at halftime, and they're going to do what Shanahan does best. They're going to dominate McVay in the regular season. That's just the way things go. You mentioned McVay has Pete Carroll's number. He had Cliff Kingsbury's number when he was the coach of the Cardinals. So this is going to be Shanahan just probably winning by double digits if they do what they're supposed to do, the 49ers. So
Yep.
give me the 49ers as well. Next game, the Giants. They're going down to Arizona. Hopefully get some redemption. They're favored by 4. Kind of seems low. Over unders low. Also, it's at 40. What do you got?
Yeah, this one's now like so we took these lines Monday night, right? And we're recording it on Wednesday. This is at 5.5 now with the Giants.
It's gone
And
up a
I
little bit.
still think it's too low. I think the Giants beat the crap out of this team. Arizona had their, nobody believes in us. Everybody thinks we're tanking, players playing for each other, and then they still lost to the Commanders. In that's the Commanders are a team that's just not good either, and the Giants can compete for a playoff spot. What do you call
Wild
that?
card. Yeah.
Wild card.
Yeah.
I don't think they get there this year like they did last year, but I think that the Giants are just going to run the hell out of the ball against this team and then
Yeah.
be able to you know, keep the score down, keep it close so that the other team's balanced a little bit, and then because the Cardinals can't do anything, so give me the
No.
Giants.
Yeah. Yeah. Dobbs, the Cardinal starting quarterback, he gave everything he had out there in week one, but Arizona, they're bad. They're real bad. They're going for Caleb, even if they're not going to admit it. The Giants should also be a very motivated team after that ass whooping in prime time by Dallas last week. Very bad. So those guys should, if they have any pride, any self respect, like they're going to come out and crush the Cardinals.
Yeah.
I'm taking the Giants, and I feel comfortable taking that spread as well, that 5.5. All right, next game, Washington going to Denver, going to Mile High to take on the Broncos. Denver's favored by 3.5. Over under is now at 39. Was it 41.5? What do you got?
The Broncos are scoring 18 points this week, and they're going to win a ball game.
Oh,
I
yeah.
I think they'll be able to get some turnovers. They'll have more than 6 possessions in this game as opposed to what they did against the Raiders, where each team had 6 possessions last week. But the offense played really good. Russ looked really good. A lot of dink and dunk, got everybody involved, so it was pretty balanced. They got Javonte Williams involved with a bunch of targets and catches as well. And I think they're gonna have a day against this Washington Commanders team, and then get the fan base going again. So
Yeah, 18 points. We talked about that on the last show we did with you here, the week 1 recap. 18 points.
it's the
That's
bar.
the number we're sticking with again in 2020. I can't believe it. I cannot believe it. Wouldn't be surprised if they scored 18-1 though. That'd be hilarious. This pick looked a lot better before I saw the Broncos. They were limited a little bit, like you mentioned. They didn't have very many possessions. Didn't get to 18 points. They got the L. But I'm gonna continue riding with Russ, riding with the Broncos. Plus, last week I wasn't super impressed with the Commanders. They nearly lost to the Cardinals last week in a game they probably should have won by 2 or 3 scores. Kind of seemed like they took everything from Sam Howell in the third and fourth quarters. Kind of played it safe. Didn't look good in the first half. Kind of the opposite of what we saw in the preseason, right? We talked about how the offense looked good with Sam Howell, like they were doing good things. But once push came to shove, week 1, playing an NFL team with their ones, like he had some struggles. So I think he'll have some struggles against his Broncos defense as well in week 2. I've got Denver.
Weird thing in this game, like the last week, is Denver with Vance Joseph back there started running the wide 9 in defense, which is really awkward because you can beat the hell out of the wide 9, and that's like how the Raiders were able to attack them.
Yeah.
And I'm interested to see if they go back to that kind of stuff or they go back to their normal defense that they've been running for years.
You hope those guys watch film.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see if they watch film. All right, New York Jets, they're at Dallas. 2 really good defenses. The Cowboys are favored by 7.5. That obviously jumped up with Rodgers going down. The line is now at 38.5. That obviously went down. It was at 46.5 with Rodgers going down. Zach Wilson under center there. So what do you got?
Yeah, so now it's sitting at 9.5 with Dallas.
Damn.
I've already put money on the points for that because so last season, right? The Jets, with the same exact type of team that they have now, only lost 4 games by 10 points or more, right? And a couple of those were at the end of the year where they're just like they lost like 7 out of 8 games to end the year, 7 out of 9, 8 out of 10, something like that. They just went down the shitter at the end of the year.
Apart.
But the Aaron Rodgers effect skewed this number so much, and Dallas played in just like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did, right? Everything happened for them that could possibly happen very early to make it a one-dimensional game. They were able to pin their ears back and rush the passer.
Mm-hmm.
That's Dallas's strength, is be able to rush the passer. They have dudes everywhere to rush the passer. They don't have dudes to stop the run. The New York Giants, even in a game where they had to just pass to try to get back into it in a torrential downpour, the Giants still ran for 108 yards, and they had 55 of those in the first quarter. Some of that's with Daniel Jones, but Zach Wilson can run as well, too. The Jets are going to run the ball as the strength of their offense. They're going to get some passes off, too, be off some of that play action, but their defense is still going to play good. And we didn't see anything out of the Dallas Cowboys offense to say that they're actually really good at offense or any better than they have been. They had the positive game scripts, so they didn't have to throw the ball all that much, right? But even then, Dak Prescott's only 13 for 24. So does 52% really say, oh my God, they're a prolific passing team, right? They ran the ball because that's all they did for the rest of the game. There's something about teams to where everybody is hype about them, and all of a sudden one thing happens and it's like shitter, right? Everybody's in the shitter. All people are talking about is who should they bring in to be their new quarterback and start over Zach Wilson, right? As bad as Zach Wilson plays, and I don't think he's a great quarterback, I don't even think he's middle of the road. He's bottom third or whatever like that in the
It's
league.
bad.
When you have that great of a defense, you can still compete. Trent Dilfer did it, right? Who's the other dude? Fuck. There's another quarterback that won a championship that was absolutely
Yeah,
terrible.
I know who you're talking
Yeah.
about. I can't think of the name right now.
Damn it. I forget. Whatever it was, right? But bad quarterbacks can win too with outstanding defenses. This defense is still fantastic. There's still the defense that was like one of the best in the league last year. They have the corners to lock down those dudes. You don't think that those guys are going to be up for the task and Dallas just goes out and blows out a team on prime time 40-0 or whatever the hell the score was, and then but you know what, the Jets squeaked out a win against the Buffalo Bills 9-11 in New York City. All this hype, Aaron Rodgers flag, all this kind of stuff, torn Achilles, and now Zach Wilson's in. They're playing Josh Allen, a division opponent who keeps winning the division, and they force turnovers like crazy off that dude. I don't know who's better, Dak Prescott or Josh Allen. To me, they're fairly similar. The Bills have a decent running game as well, too. And I don't think that Mike McDaniel's all that great. I just don't. Not Mike McDaniel. What's his
Mike
name?
McCarthy.
Mike McCarthy's all that
Yeah.
great. So I'm going to take the New York Jets to go into Dallas and win this ball game. It's sitting at, like, by the time we did it, was minus 345, and it's sitting closer to 400. I think it's like,
Yeah.
or plus 345 or whatever. Like, I think it's plus 385 right now for the Jets to win the ball game. And I just didn't see anything out of Dallas that says, you know what, they're going to be able to stop the Jets. Like, it's just going to be a low scoring game. The Jets are going to stop them. And the Jets are just going to run the ball, and that's what the Jets do well. And the Dallas Cowboys can't really stop that. So I don't know. All this hype around the Cowboys, all their fans anxious, like what the hell's going on? Because this is Zach Wilson and the Jets, and oh my God, it's 10-6 or whatever it is, right? Or 9-6 at halftime or something crazy, and we should be doing this, and you're getting booed whenever you have a bad play. Dak says he's not going to throw picks. He's throwing 2 picks in this game. It's going to happen. I don't know. I'm all in on the Jets now without Aaron Rodgers. I'm a big fan of it and what they're going to have going on. I'm going to root for them like crazy. I root for Zach Wilson. There's something about a guy getting shit on all the time that I just want him to succeed and shove it in everybody's face. But I don't know how much of a difference this is from a team last year. And if you had these two teams playing last year, I don't know who you would pick, Dallas or New York. And I'm not going to let a big spread like that go away or a big money line like that go away. And I'm going to throw a little bit at it. And I really do think that the Jets go into Dallas and take a victory. Just, I don't know. It is what it is, right?
I don't know what it is because we were off the Jets with Aaron Rodgers under center. We were talking 1, 2, 3 wins at best through 7 weeks.
You know why? Too is
now,
because
now you're talking.
It's because
Zach Wilson under center, and now they're going 2-0.
Here's why: because Aaron Rodgers is a cancer, right?
He is.
He's a cancer, and you know what's going to happen after 4 or 5 weeks where they're like 1-4 or something like that. Is Aaron Rodgers takes no accountability for things; he points fingers. Right? Yeah. And they didn't have a strong offensive line. So after a few weeks, he was going to be checked out anyways of, oh, you know, whatever this is, we need to be better at this, and just start throwing people under the bus. That's what he did at Green Bay, right? The same thing. Why did he want to go to the Jets? Because the Jets beat the crap out of the Packers last year. Like, it is what it is, right? And I think that's why we're so down on it. But I'm all for teams rallying together, having something to play for, shoving it in people's faces, that New York mentality, Jersey mentality. I think that it comes out of the Jets more than we have our Lord and Savior here.
To me, this is just the Cowboys defense. I liked what I saw against the Giants. It was stifling. Buffalo, they also couldn't stop the run, and they were in a position to win that game. Josh Allen just gave it away. He reverted back to the Josh Allen from 2021 and prior to that. I don't see the Cowboys turning the ball over. Was it 4 or 5 times? Mm-hmm. They might get gashed. That offensive line seems to block better for the run game than they do the pass game. So it's going to come down probably to Zach Wilson needing to make key throws. And I don't have any faith, and no one should have any faith in Zach Wilson being able to make key throws. I don't care if, Garrett Wilson was able to play defense on that ball and somehow catch it for the touchdown. That's not going to happen every week. That was an incredible play.
Zach Wilson supported the AP offensive rookie of the year last year.
Yeah. Yeah. How many games did they lose to end that season?
A lot.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah. So you love what Dan Quinn's doing with defense here. Rodgers is a big hit to the Jets in the offense. So I was taking the Jets before Rodgers went down. I'm sorry, the Cowboys before Rodgers went down. I'm still taking the Cowboys after Rodgers goes down here in week 2.
I think that the way that the Dallas Cowboys really win this game is it's not because of anybody on the Jets roster. It's because of Nathaniel Hackett. Nathaniel Hackett's butthole puckered up when Aaron Rodgers went down because that means
Oh
he had to
yeah.
actually call plays and do
Yeah.
his thing, right? There's a reason why they brought him in with Aaron Rodgers is because, hey, it's an offense he's comfortable with and Aaron Rodgers runs the show,
The guy he likes.
right?
Yeah.
Now you have Zach Wilson having to do that. And I,
Yeah.
I'm also interested, like, Aaron Rodgers isn't going to be with a team. Obviously, recovering from Achilles and
He's
stuff
got a
like that.
rehab. Yep.
But how much is he going to be involved in teaching and coaching Zach Wilson, right? A lot of this stuff over the offseason and Hard Knocks was how good of a teammate he is, how much of a leader, how much of a mentor, right? Hey, there's Aaron Rodgers in the headset. Don't do this dude, don't do this dude, right? Coaching and helping out and being excited for the other players. What about when he's not there? Is he on FaceTime? Is he in there coaching, right? All the clips we saw of them in the quarterback room and stuff, it's Aaron Rodgers sitting in the back with his feet up, kind of like I already know all this stuff, while all the other guys are glued in on what's going on. I think that's going to be what makes the Jets successful or not, is if Aaron Rodgers actually takes on that mentor role for Zach Wilson, or if he's just like, yo, guys, I'm out, or whatever like that. Good luck in Aaron Rodgers fashion.
Yeah. I mean, so the move here is to bet the Jets, but because, you have to bet 345 to get 1 unit, right? With the lines the way they are. You said they're closer to 400, but you get what I'm saying, right? You don't have to bet. I think you're betting 0.36 units to
Yep.
get to 1 unit, right? Profit. So, and that may have changed a little bit, but you're not taking that much risk taking the Jets. And yeah, you can see this going the Jets' way, just like it happened in the Bills game. It could definitely happen with a few turnovers, but
I legitimately
uh,
think that the Jets go in and win the ball game. Like, not just because of what the line is, but
yeah, well, if sports books are going to do to us in week 2 what they did to us in week 1, that's probably what's going to happen. It's going to wreck a bunch of parlays. But let's go ahead and get into the Sunday night game. Miami at New England. The Dolphins are road favorites. They get 2.5. Over unders now at 47. Was it 44.5? So it's going up a little bit. What you got?
yeah, I'm going to take Miami in this. I don't care how good the Bill Belichick defense is.
Yeah.
The Miami Dolphins are just going to be wide open. If you go back and look at the last video that we did, right, the week 1 recap, that's our thumbnail. It just says always open with all of the Dolphins all over it. They're going to be able to run wild all over this team, just crossing patterns and deep balls and all this kind of stuff. You had your time to try to beat Philadelphia, and Philadelphia was just rusty and hadn't played together since last year, really, against true competition in hitting and all this kind of stuff. And they still lost. I'm going to take Miami.
Yeah, Bill had the team playing at a surprisingly high level against the Eagles last week, but it was week 1. They were in that game, though, till the very end. Mac Jones threw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. So we can probably put to bed Matt Patricia ever coaching an NFL offense again.
Mm-hmm.
They did that against the Eagles. But for this game, I don't see how New England stops the offense. Tua threw for 466 yards, and Tyreek had 215 yards receiving. Every time Tua dropped back, I think you mentioned it, and threw the ball, like some Dolphins player was wide open, 20 to 30 yards down the field. It was like Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, that Craig Kraft, Barrios, the tight end. It was even, I think he ran like the second most routes on the team or the most routes. Durham Smythe, I think. Like all those guys are just wide open. So I'm taking Miami as well, and I'm fully on board with Mike McDaniels. His offense is legit. It wasn't like a one-hit wonder thing. So huge fan of that guy, huge fan of that offense. So I'm behind the Dolphins as well. Monday night, we got 2 games. First game is New Orleans at Carolina. The Saints are favored by 3.5 on the road. Over-unders at 40. It's come down a little bit. It was at 42.5. What you got?
Both these teams stink, and I wouldn't be surprised if either one won. I'm picking New Orleans. I just think they have the better quarterback play to get them in position. You're another week closer to Kamara, right? So guys are getting all the reps in and getting their touches before Kamara can get his, right? And trying to carve out a role, especially those backs for future games and stuff like that. But I'll take New Orleans on the road. I don't like it, but that's the one I'm picking to win the ball game.
Yeah, this one makes you a little uncomfortable. The Saints, though, they did win against a stout Titans defense in week 1. I don't think the Panthers are ready to compete with a mostly complete team. I'm not going to call the Saints complete. Maybe until they get Kamara back, we'll see. Also, did you see Rashid Shaheed out there? Like, how many weapons does that give Carr? You have Michael Thomas, he looked good, healthy. Olave, he's a star in the making. You had Shaheed, I think he had like 5 or 6 catches, and he was constantly downfield. You had Juwan Johnson. You get Kamara in a couple weeks. So I like the team. Not a lot of confidence. This is a road game, so it might be tough in division, but I am taking the Saints in week 2.
Yep.
Final game for us, the Browns at Pittsburgh. Cleveland's favored by 2, over-unders at 39. That's come down quite a bit. It was at 43. What do you got for our final matchup here?
This is a riding of the ship. I'm still going to go on to the Pittsburgh Steelers for this one.
Yeah.
I think they're better than what they showed. Everything just fell off the rails pretty quick. And then you have a guy who's trying to panic because he's supposed to be good this year. They have a connection with him and Pickens, and you just can't drop back and pass when the team in the San Francisco 49ers knows you're going to drop back and pass. It's the most them, the Eagles, and Dallas is the 3 teams that you don't want to get into a passing only situation, and that's what they got into very early in that game. So Cleveland, I don't know what to really make too much of that. I think Deshaun Watson played really well. Obviously, Chubb is great and fantastic. The defense showed up, but all that talking crap stuff and the elves, and I think there's just something else there. And then it's just a classic. By the way, the Pittsburgh Steelers is still here, and we play defense, and it's Monday night. Give me the Steelers.
It's going to be an ugly game. I think that it's going to be like that Las Vegas and Denver matchup where the possessions were limited. Everything was just chew the clock. They'll keep the score low. But Deontay Johnson's out for a few weeks with a hamstring pull. Not major, so probably middle of the road pull there. That doesn't help. And neither did the Steelers' week 1 performance. 49ers kind of, you mentioned that they just ran away with it, but I don't think the Steelers are as bad as San Francisco made them look, but I like the Browns at full strength coming off their win against the Bengals. I'm on the other side here. I'm taking the Browns. It is on the road. It is in prime time, but I liked the defense. I liked kind of what Jim Schwartz did there. So taking Stefanski and that run game and stout enough defense against probably a weaker offense without Deontay Johnson.
Cool.
All right. So as mentioned, we're keeping tally of what we'd have to wager to get to 1 unit for each bet. And with these picks, I would have to wager, what am I at, 32 units?
Yep.
And Nate, I have you at about 29 units. So, and for context on our week 1 records, they weren't great. 9-7 for me again, and 8-8 for you, as I mentioned earlier. But I looked at some of the other like FanDuel guys. Pete Prisco, senior writer for those guys, went 9-7. Jamie Eisenberg, I think you've seen him on like the CBS shows. He's another senior writer there. He went 7-9. So it was just a very, very difficult week to project, as most week 1s are. So parity, I guess we'll call it for the NFL, the league. But we're hoping to get we're hoping these get easier to predict going forward as we learn more about the who's who in the NFL.
Yep.
All right, so moving on, we did our best bets last week, and we're doing it again today. As a reminder, these can be spreads, over-unders, props, parlays, teasers, whatever you want. So what'd you pick for week 2?
Yeah, when we did this last week, we hit the Philadelphia over team total. I think it was 12.5 in the first half.
Yep.
I'm
first quarter.
Yeah, they got it in the first quarter, right? Which
First
they're
quarter,
probably going to
they
end
did
up
it,
doing. But I can see them slowing down this game a little bit more. When we looked at it last night on Tuesday, it was at 14.5. It's down to 13.5, but it's juiced up to like 135 or something like that. So I don't want to do that. But I'm going to do the first thing that came to my mind is this is a really good teaser week, which means it's probably not a really good teaser week, right? So, but I got Philadelphia -1, so 6-point teaser on Philadelphia to get down to 1. I think you can get that at half a point now. It doesn't make it as good because you're not going through getting off 2 key numbers, right? So it was at the 7, and maybe it gets up to 7 again, but I doubt it with all the injuries. But yeah, you can get it at it's just a pick, right? But that's concerning. And then San Francisco down to -2. So you get that for 130 out there. Teasers got expensive. Used to be able to do 120 all the time.
Yeah.
Most books are at 130 now. I think FanDuel's at 134. It's fucking rip. Like if you could find a book for 120, I think there's like one of the stations or somewhere in Las Vegas has 120, And then most other places are 130 is what you're probably going to end up getting. So don't do 134. That's outrageous. Don't pay the extra 4 cents. You're parlaying two teams to win, right? It's terrible. Don't do it. But another teaser I would look at maybe is I'm thinking about adding the Jets. I don't know if it gets to the 10, but to get
What
up
does
to
what does that take you to?
so it'll get you to 15.5 points, and the Jets just aren't. I don't think they're going to lose by 3 scores. So I would add that in there if you wanted to also.
Okay.
But as if you want to mix and match some of those. But Philly -1, San Francisco -2, -130 on. I think you get that at DraftKings.
All right, so I was inspired by Nate's teaser, and I'm going with a parlay this week. Nate tells you never to do this,
Don't
but he does it
parlay.
all the time.
It's the worst.
He does it all the time. So
No, not all the time.
a lot, but I've got the New York Giants spread at -5.5, parlayed with the Bucks at 2.5, -2.5. I think the Giants smoked the Cardinals. Talked to that earlier, and the Bears, they're not nearly where we thought they were. With the Bucks playing pretty inspired football on their sides. The odds for this, if you put those together, are +252. So if you risk, $100, I'm not calling that a unit, you stand to gain 252. So not bad. But you are parlaying, so there is some risk involved. But that's what I got for
your
week 2.
Best bet of the week is a parlay with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
This is fun. Well, we're having fun here. All right, we're having fun, and you like those odds.
Winning money is fun. I hate those odds. No way.
All right, that's all we got for this week. Please follow the show on YouTube, Spotify. Like, comment, engage, all the above. We see your comments, and we are happy to mix it up on the socials. We have been replying to just about everything. But closing thoughts, Nate, before we get out of here.
It's really hard to bet the NFL. Don't go crazy. Don't be taking out loans or debt and pay your bills, man. Don't. You're not gonna, make it or get out of this hole by gambling or something like that. Play with money that you are very comfortable losing and just lighting on. Yeah. If you could put it in a barrel and light it on fire and it doesn't change your life, go ahead, have some fun or whatever like that. But don't tilt out when you lose some. Then I'll get it back on this because it's not going to happen. That's how you see all the homeless people laying the streets of Las Vegas, and that's how they build all those big buildings.
True story. Those are directly related.
There's hardly any casino out. Casinos don't close down because they lost money, right? There's not a casino that closed down that lost money. At least not one that I don't know of. But it's usually because of facilities or they fuck it, whatever, right? But
yeah. That's a really good rule of thumb. You should only have in your FanDuel, DraftKings, BetMGM, whatever sports book you're using. You should only have in there what you're writing off, what is basically already gone. And if that number is $100 and you win bets and that gets you to $200, pull 100 out, get back down to 100, and just enjoy your profit.
I take out.
That's kind of what I do.
I take out everything. So on the weekend, it's my college football stuff. I have a budget for that, and then at the end of the night, I'll sit there and withdraw everything from it. And so it's all the way at zero. And then with NFL, I know what I'm going to bet, and then boom, that's what I'm going to put in it. And then I have that budgeted too. So it's okay, I have this much I'm going to bet this week. Here are my certain bets. I have this much allocated to some in-game stuff.
This is responsible gambling 101 here, except for the parlay. Ignore the parlay I mentioned earlier. Don't do that. Everything else, though, you're good. Yeah. All right. Thanks for listening, guys. Have a great week. Good luck with your fantasy and your degenerate endeavors, and we will talk to you next week. Love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye.